It may be a rainy weekend outside, but I'm going to show you how to brighten up any outside space with these cool watermelon plant pots. So to create my fun watermelon plant pot design, all you need to do is first of all make sure you've got a nice clean terracotta pot. Okay, I'll just pick these up really cheap from my local garden centre. And then I've got myself a good selection of acrylic paints. So I've got a pink that will make up the flesh, I've got a dark green which will make up the skin, and then the light green I use for the details. Okay, and then I've also got a couple of paint pens. You could use Sharpies, but I prefer to use these just because they come out a little bit more vivid on top of the paint itself. Okay, so I just got these online, part of a big pack. They were really cheap. So that's all you need really, and a couple of paintbrushes. So this will probably take you about 2 days because you need to allow for drying time. So to start with, I've squeezed out my pink paint. And you need quite a lot of this because I give the pots, I would say, probably about 3 or 4 coats. So as you can see, when it first goes on, it doesn't quite give you full coverage. If you just try and do the bottom part, avoiding the sort of rim area, because that's what's going to be the skin. I'm also doing all my brush strokes in one direction, because what I find is by doing this it means that it will dry and appear to be a little bit smoother. So put down as well some just scrap cardboard so that I don't wreck my tablecloth, because I'll get in trouble with my flatmate. So it's worth sort of starting and potentially doing a little mark, knowing where you've started. So I know that I've started near almost where that little stain is. So you can that way keep track of how many coats you've done. Now because I'm careful, I'm actually going to paint the skin on, so the dark green, all in the same sitting. But if you felt you weren't able to do that, you thought you'd make a mess, what you can do is maybe just give it sort of an hour and the paint will set and you'll be able to do it then without worrying about it smudging too much. So these pots are really great. I've made a few of them for my friends as well, and they've got them out in their gardens. They really bring a summertime feel to any garden or patio. I in fact live in a flat, so I don't have a garden, but I've got one out on my balcony, and it really brightens things up, and I'm looking forward to when the weather gets a bit warmer, having my tea out there and enjoying that. Stage 1 complete. I've painted the sort of fleshy pink part that would resemble the inside of the watermelon. And now I've squeezed out some of my dark green paint. Again, I'm using the same large brush just to start with so that I get coverage, but I'm perhaps not putting as much on my brush. Okay, so really carefully you need to just paint around the edge. Doesn't matter if you get any paint on the inside of the pot, because obviously that's where the plants are going, so it will all be covered up with soil anyway. So I'm just, for the first coat, going to use this big brush, and then when I come around to do the second and third coats, I'm actually going to use a smaller brush, just so I don't get any on the pink part, because that will be harder to get off, even if it's even if the pink part's dry, it'll still be quite tricky to wipe it away. Okay, so I've got myself just a small flat brush. I'll just pick up a bit of paint on there. And it also gets a little bit tricky the more wet it is all over the pot to pick it up. So what you might need to do, and this is why I always do painting and craft projects on a scrap piece of card, you almost create a little turntable, which is quite handy. And because this is a darker colour, you might find that you actually need to do less coats of this. I just find 2 to 3 is always good on the safe side for anything like this, painting on any existing item that isn't just a plain white background. Because you really find it makes a difference. Now I've done mine as a watermelon because I had the pink and the green paint, but I'm just thinking as I'm doing this, what else could you create? I might have a go, because I've got a little bit of leftover green paint, I might have a go at trying to do almost like a lime cross section, but perhaps you could do it so it looked like pineapples or oranges. I'll just have a little play and I'll sort of post some things up. But whatever your favourite fruit is, I think definitely watermelons are really, really popular at the moment. Seeing them on lots of clothes and interior products. In fact, I got a really cool jug for my birthday, which looks like a watermelon, which is ideal for Pimm's or any other summertime drink. So while I'm sat outside in my garden, or my balcony, sorry, enjoying looking at my pot, I can also have a little cheeky drink as well. Now, because I've squeezed out a little bit too much paint, I've also decided to paint just one coat the inside of the rim, just because it looks a little bit tidier, particularly if you're thinking of doing this as gifts. It might be quite a nice thing to do if you've got young kids at primary school. This could be a little fun project to do as a thank you to your teacher. So it's time now, it's been 24 hours, so I'm going to do the final finishing touches of the watermelon plant pot. So I've got, using my smaller brush, the light green, and all I'm going to do, just to create the definition that you normally see on a watermelon skin, is I'm just going to dab on fairly regular intervals, not with loads and loads of paint on my brush, some stripes. And that will create, at least from a distance, the effect that we're after. Great. So once you've been all the way around and done that, which I think I pretty much have, I then use a white paint pen. And what I do is just sort of from underneath the rim of the pot downwards, is do some little dots. Alright, so just sort of 3 or 4 dots going from the rim downwards. Now it's really subtle, but it does actually look quite effective, and I'm just using a white paint pen for that, which is actually at the moment being a little bit difficult. The final step now, using my black paint pen, is to put on the seeds. So all you do is you just go straight onto the pink, and you almost want to create almost like squash circles, little oval shapes, and there doesn't need to be any logic to where they're going, because it's obviously very irregular inside a watermelon. And providing you've left your paint to dry a good amount of time, you'll be able to do this without any smudging or anything whatsoever. And the paint pens, they're actually a little bit better than using paint and a brush, because they dry an awful lot quicker. So there you go, that's how you make a watermelon plant pot. Perfect. I hope you enjoyed my video, and please give it a go and post to my Twitter profile at JBMakes what you end up doing. Good luck.